The other day I checked my bank statement and had an epiphany. It wasn't one of those life-changing spiritual epiphanies, but one of those that gives you a mini financial heart attack. Between the mortgage, utilities, and serious expenses, there was a line of small transactions that, added together, amounted to a plane ticket to a paradise island. Who is the culprit? Caramel coffees. Mid-afternoon cookies. That soda to clear my mind. Basically sugar. The barista at my usual coffee shop doesn't just know my name, he knows my dog's name and probably my memory card number too. I realized I wasn't paying for products, I was paying a monthly subscription to cheap dopamine. And I'm not alone. The average citizen consumes about 17 teaspoons of added sugar a day. That's almost 26 kilos a year. Imagine carrying a 25-kilo bag of cement. Well, but pure white poison straight into your body and your bank account. No one sits down to eat spoonfuls of sugar like the Cookie Monster in the middle of an anxiety attack. But it's there, hidden. In your healthy cereal, in the salad dressing, in that Greek yogurt that swore it was your friend, and even in Grandma's tomato sauce. Sugar isn't just an ingredient. It's a business strategy designed to keep you hooked, unsatisfied, and yes, poor. But how did a simple treat become such a perfect financial trap? To understand this sweet apocalypse, we have to travel back in time to a simpler era. The 90s. An era of baggy pants, Tamagotchis, and an irrational fear of fat. Suddenly everything was low-fat or fat-free. The food industry, sensing the collective panic, dove right in. They took the fat out of every imaginable product. Cookies, yogurts, dressings, everything. The problem is that when you take the fat out of food, it tastes like soggy cardboard. The magic solution to bring back the flavor and addictive texture. You guessed it. Sugar. Tons of sugar. It was the biggest switcheroo in the history of nutrition. We spent decades demonizing one villain while its evil twin, sugar, was sneaking into every corner of our diet. We were afraid of the wrong monster, and the big corporations made sure it stayed that way. But who was the genius who planted the seed of this sweet misfortune long before? Ironically, the modern story of our addiction begins with an attempt to make us healthier. At the end of the 19th century, a man named John Harvey Kellogg, a very devout doctor concerned about Americans' poor digestion, created the first cornflakes together with his brother. His goal was a soft, bland and pure breakfast that would soothe the stomach and, according to his beliefs, sinful desires. What he never imagined was that his bland creation would become the seed of a $100 billion industry. Companies like Post and eventually Kellogg's itself realized that nobody liked eating cardboard for breakfast. So they added a little magic touch. Sugar. Suddenly, breakfast was no longer a punishment. It was dessert. The invention that was supposed to purify us became the main vehicle for delivering sugar to children around the world. But how did they go from a bland cornflake to an empire that designs addiction in a laboratory? The industry's master trick isn't just adding sugar. It's the science of the bliss point. This is the term food scientists use to describe the exact amount of sugar, salt, and fat that maximizes pleasure in our brains. It's not cooking. It's neuroscience applied to marketing. The laboratories at Nestlé, Kraft, or PepsiCo aren't filled with chefs in tall hats, but by food engineers in white lab coats who run A/B tests with human taste testers to find that perfect combination that lights up our reward centers like a Christmas tree. The goal isn't for the product to taste good, it's for it to taste so good that your primitive brain overrides your frontal lobe and screams for more. It's a formula designed to create cravings, not to nourish. Every time you eat one of these products, you get a little hit of dopamine, and like any good addict, your brain learns to seek out the next fix. Sounds like the mechanism of a slot machine, doesn't it? Well, that's no coincidence. In fact, the sugar industry uses the same psychology as Las Vegas casinos. Think about it. A slot machine gives you variable and intermittent rewards. Sometimes you win a little, sometimes nothing, and every now and then, the jackpot. This uncertainty is what keeps you pulling the lever. Ultra-processed food works the same way. Every bite is a little gamble. The combination of crunchy texture, sweet flavor, and immediate burst of energy creates an almost identical reward loop. You're not eating. You're playing. You're betting your money and your health in exchange for a fleeting, perfectly calculated pleasure. It's the gamification of consumption taken to its highest level. And what if I told you that this manipulation isn't just psychological, but is based on a historic deception paid for with millions of dollars? This is where the story gets really dark. In 1967, the Sugar Research Foundation, known as the SRF, paid 3 Harvard scientists the equivalent of $50,000 today to publish a review of studies in a prestigious medical journal. The mission? To downplay the link between sugar and heart disease and instead put all the blame on saturated fats. And it worked. This single, perfectly orchestrated PR move defined the nutritional policy of the United States and the world for nearly half a century. The food pyramid we were taught in school, which put carbohydrates at the base and fats at the top, was in part the result of this lobbying. They made us believe that a bowl of sugary cereal was healthier than an egg. With science bought and on their side, how much is this sweet deception really costing us? The impact is brutal. Let's talk about Latin America, where in countries like Mexico, soda consumption is among the highest in the world, with an average of more than 160 liters per person per year. Imagine the expense. But you don't have to go to extremes. That special coffee, €5 that you have 3 times a week, adds up to €780 a year. €780 that could be your emergency fund, the down payment on something important, or an investment that grows over time. Add up the cookies, desserts, energy drinks, and an average family. A family can easily be spending between €200 and €300 a month on added sugar without even realizing it. On a global scale, the sugar industry moves more than $100 billion, but the hidden cost is even greater. Billions are spent on healthcare systems to treat type 2 diabetes, obesity, and other directly related diseases. They sell us the product and then sell us the extremely expensive cure. Is there any way to hack this system? Like Neo in the Matrix? The good news is, yes, there is. Once you see the code, you can't unsee it. My favorite trick, which seems straight out of a beginner's spy manual, is the 30-minute rule. When you feel that fierce craving for something sweet, don't give in right away. Set an alarm for 30 minutes from now. During that time, drink a big glass of water and distract yourself with something else. 9 times out of 10. When the alarm goes off, the craving will have disappeared, or it will have drastically reduced. What you were feeling wasn't real hunger. It was an impulse programmed by your brain and by years of marketing. It's a little short circuit in the system that gives you back control and saves you money in the process. It's a miniature act of financial rebellion. But if it's so simple, why don't governments do anything to stop this large-scale manipulation? The answer, as always, is lobbying. The sugar and soft drink industry spends millions of dollars every year to influence politicians and fight against any regulation that threatens their profits. They fiercely oppose sugar taxes and clear labeling laws. A brilliant example of resistance is the front-of-package warning labels that have been implemented in countries like Chile and Mexico. Those black octagons that shout high in sugar or high in calories are the terror of big brands. Why? Because they break the illusion, they destroy the marketing. You can no longer pretend that packaged juice is healthy when it has 3 shame labels right on the front. The industry fought tooth and nail against these measures, proving that their business model depends on consumer misinformation. But if it's not illegal, how do they get us to buy something we know isn't good for us? They do it by selling convenience and comfort. We live in a stressed, fast-paced world that demands immediate results. Sugar is the perfect solution for a tired brain. Did you have a bad day? Treat yourself. You need energy to keep working. Have an energy drink. Are you celebrating something? There's no celebration without cake. They've managed to associate sugar with every human emotion. Starbucks doesn't sell coffee, it sells a little personal luxury. A break in your hectic day. This frappuccino with 54 grams of sugar isn't a drink. It's a dessert disguised as coffee. And a status symbol. It's an emotional product, and emotional purchases are, by definition, irrational and expensive. And what happens when the disguise is healthy? That's the most dangerous of all. That's where we enter the realm of health washing or healthy image laundering. It's the most cynical marketing tactic of all. That probiotic yogurt with fruit? It often has more sugar than a flan, just like that granola bar for athletes. A quick analysis reveals that a Cliff Bar has more sugar than a Snickers. And what about those cold-pressed green juices that cost €8 a bottle? Many of them are fructose bombs without the fruit's fiber, which, metabolically speaking, makes them little more than expensive sodas with a sense of moral superiority. They sell you the idea of health, purity, and well-being, but what they're really selling you is sugary water with excellent marketing. The manipulation doesn't end with the ingredients. It's in every color, every font, and every sound. the design of the shopping experience is a minefield for your willpower. From the moment you walk into a supermarket, you're under siege. The sweetest products, especially those aimed at children, are placed at their eye level, with bright colors and friendly mascots. Tony the Tiger isn't selling you cereal. He's selling you energy and fun. The checkout aisles are designed as the last mile of temptation. They're filled with chocolates, candies, and sodas for one final impulse buy. Even the crunch of a potato chip or a cookie is engineered in sound labs to make it as satisfying and addictive as possible. It's not a food store, it's a carefully designed consumption environment meant to override your rational thinking and make you spend more. So, going back to my bank statement, the revelation wasn't that I like sweet coffee. It was realizing that those small daily decisions weren't really mine. They were the result of decades of social engineering, predatory marketing, and the science of addiction. Breaking free from the sugar trap doesn't mean you'll never eat birthday cake again. It means understanding the game. It means choosing consciously instead of obeying a programmed impulse. It's about taking back control not just of your health, but of your financial freedom too. One small no thank you at a time. And now I ask you, what's that little sugary treat that hits your budget the hardest each month? And in your opinion, do you think warning labels like those in Chile or Mexico should be mandatory worldwide? Speaking of how the industry reinvents itself, they created a sugar-free drink that became a phenomenon and saved one of the biggest brands on the planet. You have to watch this video about how Coke Zero beat the soda industry. I promise it will change the way you see soft drinks forever.